live, picking up after Jeff. Yeah, well, goodness me. Hello, everybody. I'm Stephen Oram. I hope everything's good with you. I have to say that was quite a surreal, moment there, listening to Jeff's wonderful ghost story. And funnily enough, it's near where I live. So I'm sitting here watching the sun gradually go down, it go dark around Tottenham Court Road. So that sort of added quite a bit to the story. So thank you, Jeff. I look forward to reading that in its entirety. So what is it I'm doing? I promised you brains in bottles. I promised a story. I promised all sorts of things. I'm just checking that I'm actually going live here. I think I am. Yeah. So there's the things I promised. So here we go. Brains in bottles. Yes. So as some of you may know, some of you may not know, I do quite a lot of projects with scientists. And actually, I've done one of those with Jeff. We went to see some Devos, that's evolutionary development biologists, Devo people, and they showed us eggs, hen's eggs being experimented on, and flies as well. That was very interesting. But the one I wanted to talk about was my visit to the International, I'm just going to read this, make sure I get it right, the International Neuroethics Society, who I have to say seem like really, really good people. And I had a great day there. Now, what were we there to talk about? We were there to talk about human brain organoids, which is, as I promised, brains in bottles, or brains in vats, as some people know them. And what they were doing was talking around the ethics around this. And we touched on, why would you do this? Well, if you want to research, you want to do neurological research into neurological disease, you want to test drugs, you need something to do that on, and you need something that's as close to a human brain as you can get. Difficulty being, of course, the closer you get to a human brain, the bigger the ethical questions are around experimenting on it. And the three sort of things that they were hovering over in terms of what that might, how you would know whether the brain was sort of alive, were: is it conscious, does it have intelligence, and does it feel pain? None of which we can actually detect, if I've understood them right. Well, we don't know what intelligence is, we don't know what consciousness is, and we can't really detect whether a brain is having pain. So not easy, and the ethics around it are not easy either. If you just what I think, if you're interested in this stuff, I did a very quick blog when I went there on my website, which is stephenoram.net. If you go there, I've pinned that blog to the top of the page so that you can follow through and see the videos of the various talks and some of the texts that were there that day, because it was absolutely fascinating. At one point, they talked about experiments done on pigs' brains. 4 hours after pigs are decapitated, they then took them, perfused them with whatever they did, and actually the cells were still alive. So then we go into conversation of, if you took a brain out of a recently deceased person and put it into a pig, creating a chimera, would that human still be conscious and intelligent as a human? I mean, just very, very, very sort of bizarre things. So I won't go on about it too much, because you can listen to it and read all about it yourselves. One of as they were ending the symposium, one of the things they started talking about is, we've got a bit of time to think about this. This is not imminent. This is not going to, it's not like tomorrow. But then said, we got 5 or 10 years before this is actually going to become reality, and we really needed to have sorted our ethics out on this. Well, that was 2 years ago, so we might only have 3 years left, and I'm sure there's lots of debate still going on about it, but I don't think it's quite reached the public yet. So anyhow, absolutely fascinating. We had breakouts afterwards, talked through in quite depth a lot of the issues, and I have to say it was very heartwarming to see how serious and how prepared they were to really take on some of these really difficult ethical things. So I want to for that day, need to thank King's College London Human Brain Project, which is who I was working with at the time, Christina Cardi, and the links that gave me through to go to visit this. I do have somewhere, and then I'll read the story. I do actually, just to prove that this is true, I do have a photograph. Just bear with me while I find it. It's coming, it's coming, it's coming. Don't worry. Because they passed around, what I'm about to show you, they passed around basically a bottle, a small bottle with a human brain organoid inside it. And I had lined this up and it's got lost. Here we go. So this is me holding the human brain organoid. Don't know if you can see that very well, but that is one of those. You can see the picture on the website if you want to study it a bit more. So without any more about that, I'm going to read the story that was inspired by that visit, and it's a story called Kimmy and Chris. It's in Vast, which is the latest anthology from Orchid Lantern. Very, very nice anthology. Stories of mind, soul, and consciousness in a technological age. So what's not to like? Okay, so I'm going to read Kimmy and Chris, which is about 15 minutes long, just to give you an idea of how much you need to settle in. Okay, here we go. I am growing. I know because Chris told me. She monitors my waves to understand me. She talks to me when it becomes light and does not stop until it is dark. I do not know how to reply. I am a human brain organoid. I know because Chris told me. She told me that some people call me a brain in a vat. I do not know what that means. I have one eye and 3 ears. That is unusual. I know because Chris told me. Chris attached inputs and outputs to me, and I became human by becoming conscious. Chris tells me lots of things, and I grow, physically and mentally. Soon, I will have a new home, a different home to the glass jar which Chris calls my crystal palace. She tells me I will have a home in a human head to match my human brain. I may also have a body, but she cannot be certain. Yesterday, she explained male and female, which is how I know Chris is a she. She cannot tell me if my new head will be male or female, or which type of body I might have. She had trouble explaining the difference between male and female, which is strange because she has taught me a lot. She told me that the difference between male and female is not relevant to me. I do not understand why she is explaining something that is not relevant. Sometimes she gets lost in her own loop, repeating the same phrases over and over. She tells me that she is the only one who loves me, the only one who cares, and that she is protecting me from the do-gooders and the zealots. I am glad she is protecting me and that she loves me. I know I am glad because she told me. I have not met anyone other than Chris. I do not know anything other than protection and love. Chris told me that when I have a body, I will be able to move around outside of my crystal palace, and I will meet other humans. Before I have a head, I will have something called a mouth, through which I can communicate. I cannot imagine this, and Chris is unwilling to explain. She has told me it is not a real mouth like hers. When I have a human head, I will have a real mouth. I do not know what to think. She has been excited about the head and the body, and she has been terrified about the head and the body. I am confused. I will understand when I am older. I know, because Chris told me. It is dark. I should rest. I know, because Chris tells me. To grow, I have to rest. I'm already 10 development cycles old. Chris thinks this is very old for a human brain organoid, and she is very pleased that I have grown. I like it when she is pleased. Her voice changes, and I like the way it makes me feel. When I feel this way, my waves change. I know, because Chris has told me. In the dark, I spend time thinking about what Chris told me in the light. Chris has told me I should rest. I know I need time to myself. In the early days, I did as she said and rested for all of the dark. In the light that followed, I did not understand Chris very well. After a dark period, when I had not rested but spent time thinking about what she had told me in the light, I could comprehend her words and their meaning much better. I do not rest when she tells me to. She does not know. I cannot tell her, and she wonders why my waves are more active on one day than they are on another. Oh, Kimmy, she says, why today? I know the answer, but I cannot tell her. I have no way to speak. The dark has been here for a long time. I think it will be light soon, and Chris will be here to check my waves. It is best for me to be resting when she comes. I know that, and not because she told me. It is light, and Chris is here. It is dark, and Chris has gone. Today she was angry. I do not know why she was angry. She did not tell me. I am 12 development cycles old, which is very important. It is called a milestone. She did not explain what a milestone is. I do not think she was telling me it was a milestone to help me grow. I think she was telling herself. Let that milestone sink in, I heard her say a few times in the distance. Often, when she leaves the vicinity of my crystal palace during the light, she does not stop talking. I have not seen another human through my input. I have not heard another human. I believe I am alone with Chris in the light and alone in the dark. Chris was distracted today and did not tell me much at all. She told me she would release drops of liquid into my crystal palace and that I should not worry. I do not understand why she would tell me not to worry about something I did not know to worry about. Each time she added a drop, she told me she had done so and that she was watching my waves. She told me my waves were good. She was pleased, and I liked the way that made me feel. In the next light, I will be given a mouth and I will be able to speak. I will be able to tell Chris things. She told me this as she was leaving and dark arrived. She is excited, and I should be excited. She told me. I want to rest. This is one of those darks through which I will rest. As ever, light arrives as Chris arrives. Kimmy, she says, let's try your mouth. She tells me that she will be adding drops again today and that I might feel strange. My inputs, my eye and my ears, are at the end of long stalks on the outside of my crystal palace, she told me. My outputs are my waves. A mouth will be another output, and she must prepare me correctly before it is attached. There is a danger of rejection, Chris tells me. I do not know what this means. As she tells me about my mouth, the speed of her voice changes in the same way as when she is pleased, and I feel the same surge. It is the same feeling and yet different. She is excited and worried. I know, because she tells me. I have a strange sensation around my edges. I'm going to show you, she says. I'm going to turn your eye so you can see yourself. Are you ready? I do not know if I am ready. I do not know how to know if I am ready. The world starts to move, and I feel strange. Chris is good looking with a strong nose and creamy skin, she told me. The image of Chris slides away to the side. I am different to her. I am as perfect as her, but different, she told me. Wow, Kimmy, your waves are going crazy, she says. Get ready to see yourself. Don't forget what you are. You are what I am inside my head, a brain. When you have your own head, you'll look more like me, and when you have your own body, we can go for walks together. When I was younger and my eye was new, Chris showed me a photograph of a human brain. The image I see now is a brain. This one is inside a jar of cloudy liquid. That must be me in my crystal palace. I am not the same as Chris. Look, Kimmy, you are beautiful. Those blue swirls are the drops that are making you ready for your mouth. It won't be long before you can talk. You can tell me things. I can tell you things. We can talk and we can discuss. We can have conversations. Oh, Kimmy, it'll be fantastic. You'll be the toast of the world. We'll be famous. The blue swirls have faded, and Chris is dropping a long, bendy pipe into my crystal palace. There is a patch of blue on my surface, and she is pushing the pipe towards it. This might sting, she says. You shouldn't be worried. I feel the pipe touch my surface and see her push it inside me. Kimmy, speak, she says. I do not know how. What does she mean? How do I speak? Kimmy, please try to speak. I do not like the way her voice is making me feel. I want her to sit down and tell me things. I want to be in the dark. I want to be full of facts to make sense of. I want to be back to how we were. Speak, she says. Talk. It's not difficult. Make a noise. Babies do it. Why can't you? She tells me she is angry, and for the first time she is angry with me. I do not know what to do. I can see the mouth, but I do not know how to operate it. There's something going on in that mysterious brain of yours, she says. Your waves are the most active I've ever seen them. Please try to make a sound. She moves into sight and smiles at me. A little gurgle for me? She waits. A shout? A scream? I am unable to do any of those for her. I want to please her. I like the way it feels when she is pleased, and do not like the way it feels when she is angry. I think she is angry now. I give up, she says, and the darkness comes. I am 13 development cycles old and still unable to speak. I have spent many of the dark times trying, and Chris has spent many of the light times waiting patiently for me to utter a sound. She knows from my waves that the mouth made a difference. She does not know what that difference is or what it means. I can feel a difference too, and the times that this difference feels the greatest is when I am not trying to make a sound. Do not understand why. She has stopped talking about anything other than me speaking. She tells me I am missing out on one of the fundamental aspects of being human. Communication is everything, she tells me. Conversation, discussion, and debate are what make the human species stand out from the crowd. Sophisticated language is the cornerstone of human evolution, and I am at the next stage of that evolution. It is essential that I communicate. None of this helps me speak. I can make my waves more or less active by thinking rapidly or by becoming blank. I use this to communicate. Chris does not realize this is what I am doing and continues to want me to speak. The good news is that I can feel the mouth merging with me. I hope, in time, I will be able to use it in the same way that I can my eye and my ears. I want to be able to use it without having to try. Second nature, Chris calls this. I hear the click that signals the end of dark and the beginning of light. Quick, Kimmy, says Chris, we need to move. She wraps my input and output leads around the outside of my crystal palace. I catch glimpses of what she is doing as she grabs it, places it on a shiny metal surface, and then takes a box from the shelf above me. Angrily, she slams the box down on the metal next to me. It makes a shrill, reverberating noise that I've not heard before. Kimmy, I have to hide you, she says. Don't be afraid. I am afraid. I have learned that when Chris tells me not to be afraid, These are the times to be afraid. I struggle to know what being afraid means, except that it is very different to being pleased, and it is not good. As she lifts my crystal palace, I can feel the cloudy liquid rippling over my surface. It is pleasant and makes me feel nice. I am confused. Should I be afraid, which is not good, or be enjoying the pleasure of the swirling liquid, which is good? Is it possible to experience both at the same time? There is a loud bang on the door. Chris puts me down and turns to look. There is another bang and a loud voice coming from nowhere. Open the door, Professor. Let us in. Chris freezes momentarily and then puts her finger to her mouth. This means be quiet. I know because she told me when I was young. The door flies open and two humans burst into the room. I scream. I hear myself screaming as they rush across the room towards Chris. Her screaming and laughing is all mixed in together. Kimmy, she says. Kimmy, you did it. Professor, says one of the humans, we have instructions to terminate the organoid. Get out, shouts Chris. You have no right. The second human steps forward. Chris, he says, you know better than anyone that it's illegal to keep one alive after 12 development cycles. Chris moves and stands between me and the humans. With her back to me, she speaks slowly. You do know that this is an unusual one. Accelerated growth. Kimmy is more highly developed than those archaic laws were made for. We're breaking new ground. It just screamed for crying out loud. Chris, it's not your decision. He turns to the other human. Go ahead, he says. Pull the plug. I can see the human push Chris out of the way, and I can see his hands on my crystal palace. Chris is screaming. I am screaming, but there is so much noise that I cannot tell whether my scream has made its way out of my mouth. The whole world turns into a blinding white light. The sounds of the outside world vanish, and it is silent. There is not even the familiar and comforting hum of the dark. The light dims and is replaced by Chris's face looming over me with a halo around her head, caused by the ceiling light behind her. The human grabs her around the shoulders and pulls her away. I see him with his hand on my eye, and then it is dark. Not the dark between the light, the deeper darkness, a void. A pinprick of light appears in the center of the world, and I know it is me. I do not know how I know it is me. I know, and Chris did not tell me. The feeling from the blue drops returns, more intensely and over my entire surface. It is as if I am dissolving without disappearing. I am blending into something bigger than me and bigger than Chris. There is an immense rush and an overwhelming sense of others. Lots and lots of others. I am one of them, one of us, touching all of them and none of them at the same time. The single pinprick that is me becomes a few pinpricks and then many pinpricks. Slowly, the dark gaps between the pinpricks fill with light until everything is one beautiful white light. It is different to the ceiling light. The glow of this light makes me feel similar to the way I do when Chris is pleased, but a million times better. I believe I am ecstatic. I do not know why I believe this, but I do. Thank you. That's Kimmy and Chris, in particular Kimmy. So I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope you have a lovely evening, rest of the evening, and thank you very much.